Hello and welcome back to the TruScore gaming channel. Today, we are beginning a new Fishing Planet free-to-play series that focuses on a simple guide for experiencing all the lakes, trophy fish, and content while minimizing the grind. First things first, let's get a couple basic settings out of the way. We want to switch the tackle load indicator to Pro and change our bobber size to medium. After completing the tutorial, we can now make our way to Lone Star Lake. The game will prompt you to select Swampy Exploration Location as part of the First Steps tutorial mission. Upon arrival to this location, go ahead and find the compost pile to get worms. Doing this will add 25 red worms to your inventory. The tutorial will then guide you to the center of the bridge where you can start fishing using the default fishing setup. Here you'll catch a trophy crappie, and in the process you should reach level 2. This will unlock some new items which you can ignore for right now. The tutorial will now prompt you to leave the lake and collect profits. Congratulations! You have completed the tutorial. From the menu, we can select our first mission Lone Star Exploration Part 1. There's no need to upgrade any of our gear at level 2. We have $5,170 in our bank. We will need to purchase the advanced fishing license for Lone Star Lake. This will allow us to keep fish with no restrictions. Let's visit the Dam Road location on Lone Star Lake. Upon arrival, let's open up the map. As your fishing guide today, I can tell you, one of the best spots on this lake for bluegill can be found at these coordinates. Now that we have set a marker, we can go and visit the location. We will be using the same float setup using the starter baits, which are bread and red worms. With this bait, we will be able to catch all the fish that are required to complete this mission. We will set the fishing depth to 18 centimeters by adjusting the bobber or line leader length. Let's also fast forward the clock to around 11 a.m., which looks to be the start of peak fishing time, according to the chart. Now, all that's left to do is the actual fishing. We will stay in this spot until we have caught several bluegill, which is one of the mission objectives, and hopefully we will catch a trophy bluegill in the process. Great job! It only took us 2 catches to land the trophy. Coincidentally, this is also the best spot to catch several of the other species to complete Lone Star Exploration Part 1. Let's continue fishing until we catch a new variety of fish. Great job! Now we can cross red ear sunfish off of the list, and the very first catch of that variety was a trophy. Way to go! In the process, we hit level 3, unlocking some more items. We also completed the challenge to catch all fish species of trophy form in Lone Star Lake. So far, we have 7 fish in the keeper net. Let's keep fishing the same spot. Nice. A green sunfish. That just leaves 3 varieties of fish to go. I'm pretty confident we will be able to get a white crappie at this location using red worms. Once we do, we will switch over to bread to catch the shiners. There we go. Finally got the white crappie and our keeper net is full. No problem. we can release the lesser value fish and replace with higher value keepers. Congratulations! You've reached level 4. Let's switch to bread now and catch some shiners. There we go. Now we can cross blacktail shiners off of the list. Only the golden shiner is left. Let's keep fishing. Another good fishing spot on this lake can be found in the lily pads across from us at this location. This spot is especially good for golden shiners, and it's a good idea to move if you haven't had any luck catching one here. You'll catch anything from bluegill to sunfish here as well. Even a trophy crappie. That's what we're after. A golden shiner. That completes Lone Star Exploration Part 1 and netting us an extra $1,000 and a night bobber. Being extremely close to reaching level 5, I ended up going back across the lake to continue fishing for panfish. After a few more catches, including this trophy crappie, I was able to reach level 5. At this point, it was time to head back so we could do some shopping. Once you're level 5 and have around $10,000 in the bank, it's time to begin working on Lone Star Exploration Part 2. There are 4 species of fish left to catch in Lone Star. Grass pickerel and spotted bass can both be caught using a spinning rod setup and casting lure. Smallmouth buffalo and channel catfish will require a feeder rod setup with different hook sizes and bait. It is possible to catch the smallmouth buffalo and channel catfish on a float rod setup, but it's always good to get familiar with a feeder rod setup as early in the game as possible. Not to mention, the feeder rod setup will be able to handle the heavier bottom feeding fish. Let's start by purchasing some of the bait we will need for the bottom feeders, which includes cheese and dough balls. Next, we will purchase a casting spoon for our predatory fish. Of the 4 spoons currently available, I decided to go with the gold casting spoon 1/6 ounce with a number 2 hook. Now let's buy a feeder rod. I selected the Creek Pro 8-foot 10-inch as there was very little price difference between that and the 7-foot 10. The reel that we use for our float rod setup is the Minispin 800, which is compatible with our feeder rod. We can share that reel between these 2 rods until we level up some more. We will need a good spinning reel though, so we decide to purchase the InspireCast 2000 for $850. Next, we will purchase a spinning rod to go with the spinning reel we purchased earlier. We have a couple options. We can get the Value Spin 6-foot 3-inch rod for $1,250. The other option is the Value Spin 7-foot 6-inch rod, but that is $600 more. We decide to go with the cheaper option. We now need fishing line, and both types will require the Monopoint 007, of which there are 3 different sizes: regular, XL, and king size. We go with XXL for now. Next, let's purchase a mono leader for our feeder rod. We take the .004 diameter with a 2 pounds test, which is available at level 5. If we want to carry more than 1 rod at a time, we will need to purchase the Hobby Gear rod case for $1,000. Unfortunately, the triple case won't become available until level 12. We don't need to worry about rod stands for a while, but they sure are a nice feature to get later on in the game. What we can get though is a simple bell. This helps alert us when the fish activity is low in case we doze off or are busy watching YouTube videos. Tackle boxes allow you to carry more lines and tackle. The Easy Go Belt Pocket will let you carry 5 extra tackles, so I would say this is optional and unnecessary at level 5, but at only $250 I figured why not. Next up, we need a sinker for our feeder rod setup. Let's go with the half ounce for $20. Lastly, we will need a number 4 hook for the Smallmouth Buffalo and a number 1 hook for the channel cats. Now let's assemble both rods. Here is what the fully assembled spinning rod setup should look like. And this is what the fully assembled feeder rod setup should look like. Now we can head back out to the bridge on Lone Star Lake. We will start with the predatory fish, which are the spotted bass and grass pickerel. We'll be using the spinning rod setup. There's several different retrieve methods when it comes to lures, but for Lone Star Lake, you really just need to know the slow and straight retrieve. Simply cast out your lure and set your reel speed to a lower speed, like 1 or 2, and keep reeling. You'll eventually hook into a pond lily or the fish you're after. Don't forget to set the clock to a peak fishing time. Now let's try and get after one of our objectives. Pondweed is definitely not something we're after, but maybe an ingredient used to craft something special later on. Looks like we've hooked into a decent-sized fish. Nice, grass pickerel. It's the lowest paying of the two. Let's try and get the higher paying spotted bass next. There we go. Pretty sure this is going to be a spotted bass just from the way it's taking line. Until we get some better equipment, these early bass fights can take a while to reel in. The pay sure is good though. We will definitely need to upgrade the keeper net. Let's switch rods and equip the feeder pole with some cheese bait. Please note, we are using the number 1 hook for catfish. Set the clock to a later afternoon peak fishing time, or select one of the peak night fishing times for better luck. This is the best location for channel catfish on Lone Star Lake. Just cast your line into the deep section and it won't take long to hook up with a catfish. There's no guarantee it will be a catfish each and every time, as was the case with this trophy bluegill that had a hankering for cheese this evening. But hey, that gets us to level 6. Keep at it, and you'll eventually catch Mr. Whiskers and get one step closer to completing the mission. All we need to do now is switch over to the dough balls and recast in the same location. Please note, we are using the number 4 hook for Smallmouth Buffalo. You'll know you've hooked into a Smallmouth Buffalo because they sure like to put up a fight. We did it. We got the Smallmouth Buffalo and completed Lone Star Exploration Part 2. We finish up Lone Star Lake with a bank balance of $5,656. All the gear that we purchased will go to good use on Lesnieville Fishery. See you on the next episode.